To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Today is August 11th. Roll call, please.
Leary.
Here.
Aaron. Here. Meyer. Here. Burrows.
Here.
Coleman.
Here.
Wheeling.
Here. Anyone from the audience wish to address the board? Now we'll go to our commission's beautification. Yeah.
We're having a meeting tomorrow evening. I have nothing to report on.
4th of July commission, trustee Coleman.
Yeah, we're getting bids on the new beer stand, which I guess we're gonna talk about tonight, later on after this meeting. Is that correct? That's the newest thing on that.
Is there a year-end report for the 4th of July, or is we ready?
Yeah, we, getting close. You got one in advance, right, in the packet? I expect about $1,700 in income. That will fall in the sponsor category. And a few more expenses, probably in the food, be a few $100s. And of course, under the corporate, there will be some ongoing bills, maybe as much as 1,000. But we're getting rather close to final numbers. I'd be happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Youth commission, trustee Court.
This Friday, we have a movie in the park. The movie is the Lego movie. And then September 13th, we have the camp out in the park, the overnight camp out in the park. Saturday, September, the movie night is this Friday, and then the overnight camp out is Saturday, September 13th.
That's it. The treasurer's report, trustee Clerk.
I don't want to do ribbon and hope.
I'm sorry.
Oh, that's all right, no problem. Ribbon and hope, we have not had a meeting, but we are on the sponsorship, not the sponsorship, but with the Chamber of Commerce. We're part of the golf outing, or I guess some of the proceeds are going to go to the Ribbon and Hope, so that's a great thing. So that's all I have to report.
Yeah.
Jim?
Okay, the treasurer's report then, we start with the fund page. July was a water bill month. Receipts of water bills for May, June. So our water accounts received income, those are the plus accounts. We had a debt payment, I believe, out of the debt account. But the largest change was in general. We had a large AP run last month. We also had 3 payrolls, and the bond payment comes out of there. We should also get moved to the bond account to be paid, but it originates there. So the largest decline was in our general account, which if you look at our chart later on, you'll see that we really expect that every July has been the same trend. In the 625 Dixie account tends to exacerbate the change quickly because we're putting the place together and spending the budget on that, so the monies are coming out. That 71,000 you see is progress payments on the project. So down below you've got the 4th of July. That was the net activity through July 31st, a 55,000 increase, I think. Nelson's also included his entire budget, or entire current event position here that you can look at and quiz him on, if you will. But that's what we showed at 7/31 was that number increase in the account. I think the chief had some squad car PCs. That's why the change in his the asset account of his. Otherwise, nothing unexpected there. It's just a large month, especially with the 3 payrolls. So if you move on to the chart, you'll see the ongoing record we're keeping, both in the general fund and the village accounts. If you move your fingers back to previous looks like 3 years worth we've got here, 12, 13, 14. The same general trend has happened each year, so I think we're following the village's pattern in that regard. So the 625 Dixie account, I'm just continuing to keep note of that for you. Balance is now 186,000. We had a couple of draws from the JDK construction, and the roof payment is on there also in July. So you had a fairly large amount of your expenditures against the project going on in July. And then finally, you've got the commission bills, rather dominated by the 4th of July. You've got, if you think Nelson isn't doing anything in July, you see all the checks that have been written for all of the various events and expenses that go on. So the lion's share of the volume was in the 4th of July, this last July. Well, like I said, also with the 3 payrolls, if you look through, you'll see that the central account, general account were higher. 2 times a year you've got 3 payrolls, so you've got a little larger expenditure in those given accounts. Which brings us to that 448,000 balance, which you know, was fairly large for one of our single months. Not unexpected. Otherwise, unless you have any questions for me, that's it.
Any questions of the treasurer? I make a motion approving the fiscal activity for the month of July.
Second.
The motion on the floor, and there was a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Cleary?
Yes.
Aaron? Yes. Meyer?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Whalen?
Yes.
The variance reports were behind that section for the prior month. And the bills are in front of us. There's a few extra ones in there. They're also submitted in an email last Friday. So any questions to the administrator on the bills?
We just added 3 blank, 1 to Constellation, Garden Creek Lift Station, 1 to Comment for Fine Park. And the 3rd was reliable, I believe.
It was
Yeah, reliable
the,
office supplies.
that's it. Any questions? I make a motion approving the bills in a total of $94,483.97 for the month of July.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor, and there was a second. Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Whalen?
Yes.
Coleman?
Yes.
Kraus?
Yes.
Meyer?
Yes.
Aaron?
Yes.
Cleary?
Yes. Greg, did you want to go after the loan proposal that is provided to us? Or you want to just keep going down the chart?
Why don't you go ahead and do the roll call?
Okay. Kim, one of the things that came off of the last meeting was to look at the possible loan proposals or options in front of us for the Phase 1 engineering for Penfield Street as part of the getting the shovel ready, as John had proposed it in the last meeting. So Kim had gone out and went to the 2 local banks looking for options of what's available to us so that we can make an educated decision of what's the right direction for us to proceed in. There was a lot of discussion of 3 to 7 years, how would it play out, how would the interest rates be? Instead of us guessing at it, we wanted to know what the banks would be doing with the rates and how it would come out at the end of what our overall cost would be. So Kim, you want to?
Yeah, I don't know if you guys have got the sheet.
It was emailed to you on Friday.
It says $150,000 loan proposal on top. Do you have
Did you
that?
drop that for us, Bob, or?
If you don't have one shared, there's,
Oh.
there's 4 now.
It brought mine with.
We have a couple of.
Yep.
So just repeat what Brian said, we had asked the banks to respond back to us in a copy of their letters, the response in your packet. And what I tried to do here was break down what they gave us into something that we could look at and try to make, a good educated look at what they had proposed. And so the first community bank of trust is on top, and Midland Bank was the second bank that both responded to us. First community, what you'll see here is that they gave us information on a 3-year, 4-year, 5-year, and 7-year loan package. Midland gave us a 3, 5, 7, and a 10-year, along with a kind of a mixed 10, which we could talk about in a minute, and the different rates. The First Community, 3 years C is 1.85, then 4 years 2%, 5 years 2.15, and 7 years 2.75. What I did, they didn't provide this, I went ahead and used my calculator to figure out, I don't want to put this on them, saying that this was their assertion, but what I wanted to do is give a single year payment, principal and interest, so it's easy to compare them, along with the total interest cost over the period of time that each loan period would give you. So just taking the 3-year, first one, the 3 years, 1.85, it would be 50,000, 51,861 payment, single payment each year for 3 years, and it would cost us 5,500 in total interest. So I went ahead and did that for all of them, including Midland's response. And first comment is, you know, the rates are obviously very good. Both banks were looking for our business, it seems, and were giving us very good rates, and I do appreciate that from them. The First Community Bank of Trust is a little more beneficial to the village, it looks like, for the years that they responded. I think you would focus on the 4-year and 5-year loan. I think you went into it thinking the 5-year was probably preferable. However, for $8,000 more for the 4-year, you're looking at a $2,000 interest cost savings. If you can, you know, you're thinking in terms of yearly budget, if 8,000 more buys you a year and $2,000, that's something to consider. Midland Bank, if you look down theirs, they did offer us a 10-year balloon payment, so to speak, or 5-year maturity on a 10-year note, which will let you pay the payment of equivalent of a 10-year payment for 5 years, and then you've got to deal with what's remaining at the end of 5 years. But if you're looking for low payments, you can get low payments in that manner. So, you know, it's a lot of numbers to look at, but if you know, looking at the targeting that you started with, it looks like the 4 to 5 year range is what you had anticipated, probably a little better than you budgeted or thought. And really, the monthly payment or the yearly payment is really the consideration after that, I would guess. And how much interest do you want to cost yourself, and how much of a yearly payment can we make? So, be open for your thoughts or comments on what they propose.
Findings, have a recommendation.
What did you want to stay in, Bob? Did you want to say less than 5?
I like the extra year for the 1,500%. I like the 5 year.
5-year, that looks good.
That doesn't mean you can't prepay it. Of course, you're paying higher interest on the entire amount of the loan until you prepay it. But that just gives you 1 extra year of flexibility. And there is some cost of issuance. I mean, you have to have the attorney draft an ordinance and write an opinion. And when that gets figured into the interest rates, the rate would actually drop as you extend it out because that cost is fixed. So to me, the 5 year is the best. I could do 4. I could make the payments on the 4. But I like the 5 better, but it's entirely up to you. And the key to this was, when Public Works Committee met to discuss this, is we wanted to keep some of that infrastructure money free for emergency road work. If you recall, we wanted to do 40 or 50 grand a year available to us for emergency road work. Like we know Fairway Drive's in bad shape down there at the end of the wall. And there's other roads that could fail to be repaired. So that's why we didn't want to spend all our money on this engineering project up front.
Any other questions? The idea was to get an idea of what our options were in front of us. The reason I wanted to do this was so we can at least evaluate this, because on our list also is to literally decide if we're going to go and have a drafted loan go to the attorney. So we need to make our decision on how we would want to proceed before we get to that next step in our board meeting. So something to think about before we get to that point, unless you want to jump right into that, Greg. Or just go to the 625.
The reason it was on the agenda tonight is I understand these bids are time sensitive, that there's a 30-day hold on the rates. And that's why we probably need to make a decision tonight and then take formal action at the next meeting.
That was my understanding, and we would instruct the attorney to draft the ordinance for next meeting. That's the route I thought we'd take, depending upon your choice.
So do you want to just jump down to the line, the item on there? At the board plan? We can.
Stay on the
Stay on this?
stay on the subject, and then do you have a recommendation?
Yes. I make a motion authorizing the village attorney to draft a loan ordinance and legal opinion for borrowing $150,000 for the completion of Phase 1 engineering on Penfield Street SDP project to First Community Bank for the 5-year loan at 2.5% interest.
Second.
2.15.
2.15.
There's a motion on the floor, is there a second?
Second.
Any questions or comments? Roll call.
Cleary.
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Caprows.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Reed.
Yes.
And trustee Whalen, why don't you add the 625?
Yeah, we had a change order, bracing metal studs and load bearing on walls and, you know, to hang the cabinets, TV, coat racks and so on. That charge came out to $700 as far as the change form. I'd like to make a motion to pay that bill to JDK Construction in the amount of $700.
Second.
There's a motion on the floor, and there was a second. Any questions or comments?
Is there a reason why this wasn't in the original plans?
So we had no clue where we were gonna put our stuff.
So they didn't-
Went through.
There was
There
nothing
was
figured.
nothing figured for Breeze.
On any wall?
No, because originally we weren't gonna hang anything on the walls, and then we changed our mind. And when you change your mind, it costs you money.
Oh, yeah.
So we gotta make sure we don't change our minds very often.
Yeah, because we're hanging TVs in the boardroom and different things like that, so we had to brace it.
We have one more change order coming for some outlets that we had to relocate as well. When we moved the wall for the office supply area, we realized that the outlets that we were gonna use for the television in the boardroom were on a wall that nobody could see anymore, so we had to move those outlets to another wall to make that TV visible.
Truthfully, I don't think we knew at the time we did this that we needed to add bracing. And it was an afterthought.
It's just backing. And in all honesty, let's just not go over it. Don't authorize change orders, let's put it that way.
That's all I have.
Any other questions?
That's all I have.
Whalen.
Yes.
Coleman.
No.
Caprows.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Aaron.
No.
Cleary.
Yes.
Any new business coming for the board? Not, entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Motion made.
Second.
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 Roll call.
Cleary.
Yes.
Aaron.
Yes.
Meyer.
Yes.
Caprows.
Yes.
Coleman.
Yes.
Yes.